Today's adventure takes me deep into the Kosciuszko National Park, where I take on my toughest mission yet. Wild weather, brutal terrain, and some of the most insane alpine scenery I've ever seen. This challenge pushed me to my absolute limits, so come join me as I attempt to conquer Australia's 15 highest peaks in a single day. G'day guys, Nathan from Rawson the Trek. Today I'm at Kosciuszko National Park and I'm taking on the 15 highest peaks in Australia. Usually a trek that takes 4 days. I'm trying to get it done in a single day. Let's see how I go. Almost seems unkind, 2 kilometres into the walk and we've got our first river crossing. Don't want to have wet boots, so I'm going to have to cross barefoot. Awesome start to the hike, going across the river straight up. Overnight there's been about 65-70 millimetres of rain. It's just been enough to get over the top of the boulders here, which you could probably rock hop across. So I had to do the crossing. Thankfully there wasn't any more rain. Just came up to probably about mid-thigh. If there had been any more rain, it would have started to get a bit sketchy having to cross that. You can see the boulders here, just running along that line there. You'd usually be able to walk across those, but it's just that little bit too much too deep. Silly me, I've just put my shoes back on, got ready to cross again, and seeing that the next stream over is also too flooded. Now crossing the second stream, can't believe I did that. Took my shoes off and then put them back on, not thinking that I had to cross this other stream here. Alright, so that's eaten up a little bit of time. This entire trek is about 55 kilometres and it's about 2,500 metres worth of elevation. So I'm hoping if I can keep about 6 kilometres an hour as a pace, I should be able to get through it in the day. Started at 8 o'clock, so I've got a good 12 hours of light ahead of me. So the first prominent feature that I should hit out here will be Blue Lake along the path that I'm following. Only ever seen photos of it, so I'm pretty keen to get out there and check it out. This isn't even one of the highest peaks yet, but how amazing is this? Alright, so made it to the first lookout point, which is Blue Lake. Check this out. Coming from the Blue Mountains, used to a lot of trees. I've never really hiked in this sort of alpine environment. Can't believe how amazing it looks. It's sort of like Lord of the Rings here. For the boys at work, when they eventually find my videos, this is for the 3 of you that I know watch it constantly. Got to be careful, I don't use all my footage here straight up, not even to the first lookout yet, and already I can't believe how amazing some of the points around here are. Like I said before, most of my hiking's been out in the Blue Mountains, so environment, it's a real bush setting out there, heaps of trees, so you get to look out, you get a nice clearing, but this, you're just seeing granite boulders everywhere. You got clouds like that zipping through the mountains. Absolutely stunning. The goal is today to hit all 15 peaks in one day. Pretty ambitious goal. Judging by the way I'm moving at the moment, it's taking me an hour and a half to get the first 5k down. So it might not be realistic, but I'm hoping I'm going to give myself till about 6 o'clock. Hopefully I can hit Kosciuszko, which will be one of the last peaks, and then bed down for the night at the bottom of Kosciuszko. I think even if I get it done over the one night, I've got all the gear with me to camp out, so I have that as a contingency. I was going to camp out anyway, but I'm hoping that I can push through and get it all done. It's meant to be a storm in the afternoon, so that might be something that holds me up a little bit, as well as just stopping to video all these awesome lookouts. Like, how crazy is this? The crossing down here is flooded again, so I've got this little bit just here. Gonna try and make the jump. Bear with me. Made it. Saved me 10 minutes of taking off shoes. So just came from over here. You can see someone standing on the boulder. So that's Blue Lake over there. So this is one of 5 glacial quarries within the Kosciuszko National Park. So this at one stage would have all been an ice glacier, and that's carved out this lake within this area here. Pretty amazing. Just down here you can see what looks like water courses. That's where the old timers, when they were quarrying out the area, would have dug it up so they could run it like a big sluice, pushing all the water down into a channel, so then they can bring all the rocks and then try and dig up whatever minerals they were getting out of here. Right, so just turned on the main track here. It's blowing a gale here. I just turned off. I'm trying to hit 3 of the peaks over here. The first one should be Mount Twynam, which is about 2,000 meters elevation. Looks like it's a little straight off here, so see how we go. Should hit that one, another 2, and then bounce back to the main track and then keep on going. So getting towards the top here of this set of peaks, and the wind has died down a bit here, but I'm still just pushing through in the top of these clouds. Actually feels a little bit eerie once the wind dies down. You get these gusts of form coming through, and then it just goes dead silent. There's just nothing out here. You can just see it through there, but that's the top of Tennyson Woods Knoll, which is one of the top 15 highest peaks in Australia. Just up there. Alright, so just reached the top of Tennyson's Peak Knoll. Tough slog getting up here. Not really a beaten path, so just trudging through the marsh to get here. Got a white out though. I'm sure the view is really good. I think Blue Lake is over here, which is where we just hiked around before. Would have been awesome if we could have seen it, but this is pretty spectacular as well, just having a white out in the clouds here. Alright, so Tennyson's Peak Knoll stands out 2,134 meters of elevation. We've got a lot more trekking to do, and we've got a heap more elevation to go getting up to Kosciusko. So let's keep on going. Crazy that just in these like mountain streams, just these crystal clear puddles of water. So that little detour where it speared off the track ended up chewing up a heap of time. Got another detour now that I'm going to. I've decided I'm going to ditch the pack, and then I'm going to try and push as hard as I can to get up the 2 peaks up here. I reckon that'll save me a heap of time. I'll mark the area where my pack is, and then I'll just hike back down to it. Just coming up to Mount Twynam. Again, one of the top 15 peaks, sitting at 2,196 meters. You can see the survey marker just up here. Go get a look. So I thought it was going to be a little movement from Mount Twynam to the next peak, and then I just saw this. Amazing view of Blue Lake over there, and then little Mount Twynam over here. I'm going to try and move with a bit of pace down the hill here, and see if I can get there in the next half hour. Not overly keen on leaving my bag there for too long, just in case someone thinks that I'm lost, but should be able to move pretty quick through this terrain. Cannot get over how amazing that looks. So just getting to the top of Little Twynam, height of 2,131 meters. Thankfully the clouds are cleared from here. Get a look at this view. Just wish I had a drone and you could fly in here. It'd be absolutely amazing just seeing the circle around this area. Blue Lake just down here as the clouds are pushing across it. Not sure if you'll be able to pick that up on the camera. Just up there, back where I'm going, it looks like some sort of snow melt. You might not be able to see, the clouds are just pushing across it now. But I'm gonna go up and check that out. Just getting back to unpack now. Definitely saved a heap of time by ditching it here. Just meant that I could hustle down, do the first lookout, hustle down to the next lookout, and then rather than having to come back up through, I could cut across and traverse, cutting back to where I just packed. So saves a little bit of time cutting across and ease the movement. Hopefully the pack's still here. Still here. Thankfully no one decided to run off with a 30 kilo pack. So just got back to the main range walking track. That was an out and back to get those three high points. Still blowing a gale, the wind's picked up a fair bit. In retrospect, wish I had left my bag there, and then I could have moved a lot quicker and also probably saved a lot more energy doing that. But knocked over a good chunk. The last mountain that we did overlooking Blue Lake, that was pretty cool. So just down here is Club Lake. Unfortunately, because of the fog, can't see it, so just gonna have to keep on pushing on. It's at the top of Carruthers Peak, which is 2,145 meters above sea level. So that's peak number 4. We'll keep on knocking them over. As you can see, very foggy. Just managed to get a few snacks in and walked around the other side of the mountain, so cut off from the wind a bit, which has been fantastic. Still in an absolute whiteout here, so can't really see anything more than sort of 20-25 meters. Starting to go on a gradual downhill, pushing towards the next lookout. Just hit the steel boardwalk, see how long this runs for. Just getting to the top of Mount Lee. It's white out again. You can't see it, I can't see it, but I know, therefore you know, I'm out the top of Mount Lee. Mount Lee is 2,100 meters. One of the smaller peaks, but still up there with Australia's top 15. If you have a look out here and imagine real hard, you can see what would look like an amazing view. Past a few people now going the other way. Not sure where they're going, considering it's probably another 15 kilometers to get here, to get to where I am, if they head back to Charlotte's Pass. So they've had to put in a bit of time getting out and back. I'm not exactly sure where they went though. Just had a very small break in the clouds, and you can see Lake Albina down here, but as soon as I got the camera out, the clouds rolled in again. Don't blink, you'll miss it. How lucky is that? Nature's carved a set of steps going up. God, I hope that's not some sort of false peak. Gained about 200 meters of elevation in a space of probably about 100 meters, almost sheer climb up, hoping to get to one of the peaks. So just up there is Mount Northcoate, which is sitting at an elevation of 2,131 meters. I'd say the last 200 meters of that came in the space of about 100 meters. That elevation getting up here was killer. That's definitely the hardest part of the walk. Scary thing is, it's not even what I'd say the crux of the walk is. I think that's going to come up in the next 4 lookouts. I'll show you in a minute, but Mount Northcoate. Despite the elevation on that being absolutely atrocious, I decided to take my pack up there. Reason being, right next to a cliff's edge, there's nowhere to really stow it that wasn't on the track. And then it looks like down this way, I have a gradual meet-up point with the track, as opposed to having to go down that steep cliff again. That sucked. It's going to do it justice, just how good that looks from here. running out of ways to say how amazing this landscape actually looks. Been unlucky with the clouds on a couple of occasions, but when you get to views like this, it's worthwhile. We're eventually going to walk all the way up here and around, and then over to this hut over here. So we've still got a fair few kilometres ahead of us. We're about 26 kilometres down. You better believe we're making our way up there. So it's got to about 2:30 now, and just getting to what I would say is the crux of the walk. You see this nasty little section here where it cuts out and then cuts back in. So my plan of attack with this, ditch my pack, and I've stowed in my right pocket, I've got food, I've got a water pack and a water filter, so I can get water on the run there. And then in my left pocket, I've got my life-saving stuff, so I've got my snake bite bandage, and then I've got my GPS. Then obviously running my phone in the top pockets, and then just a couple of snacks. Looks like it's going to be pretty nasty how it cuts out and comes back, but finishing point should be where I'm sitting here, so I'm going to march back up the track and then try and knock all of that off. It looks like, from what I'm looking at on the map, should be able to hit 5 of the highest peaks in that one section there. Fingers crossed, get it all done, get back to the bag. Hopefully no one takes it. Again, I've marched 22 kilometres in here. I don't know if anyone's going to march out 22 kilometres with a bag that really has some food and a couple of electronics. In amongst that fog up there is Mullers Peak. The Mullers Peak is sitting at 2,129 metres. Now, believe it or not, we actually have a view from up here. What concerns me at the moment is there's a mountain over there in the clouds and another one over there that look higher than the mountain I'm standing on, and there's a big valley in between. I'm hoping this skirts around and then I can do the loop and I don't have to drop down too much, but there is a big drop on my elevation, so that might be going into the valley. So this one here is still covered in cloud, but then moving across, looks like we're going to hit that, possibly that, just there, and then I'm going to push across to the other side of the valley. Back on the track. I think I jumped on this when I saw that you could do 15 of Australia's highest peaks all in one loop. I thought that sounds like a good idea. Halfway through it now, still feeling all right, but starting to question whether or not I'll get it done in the one day. So my hat goes off to the ultra runners. I think the fastest time is in the 6-hour mark. I'm already sitting at about 7 hours and I'm only halfway through. But this is going to be a big bite of the apple, knocking these 5 peaks over, bring me up to 11, and then Kosciusko is going to be the big one, and then hopefully be able to knock over the other ones tonight. I'll be stoked if I can make Kosciusko before sunset, and then hopefully get a good photo there right as the sun goes down. So realistically, I probably could have drank that straight, but it's not worth running the risk. We don't know. There might be a dead animal somewhere just up the stream. Best to filter it out. Could not believe how much exponentially harder this would be if I hadn't ditched my pack. I've only come up not that far, maybe about 500 meters, and it's hurting. not looking forward to tackling those mountains behind me there. There's my peak. Following the track up that way. Hopefully hit it in the next 15 minutes. Small paw print there. If anyone knows what that is, let me know. Up there is Rawson Peak. This one's been an absolute killer to get to the top of. Just have a moment to compose myself before I go up there. It's gonna be a tough slog. That was tough, but absolutely amazing. Can't believe the view up here. I need to have a look at the map. I swear I've probably walked all those to get to this point. So this peak's setting out 21,070 meters, which is I think one of the highest ones that we've done so far today. We're starting to tick them off. The next one's going to hurt. It is the one that has that massive drop and then huge hike back up. So I'm going to sit here, have something to eat, contemplate life, and then go and tackle this next cliff. That's Mount Townsend right up there. I think this one is about the 4th on this loop, and then we're pushing across the other side. That's absolutely insane. Imagine the amount of force that would have had to come out of the earth to launch that up and sit that like that, and then to have everything else surround it and hold it up, sitting there like a massive megalith. Crazy. Didn't even see that from the side I was coming. It's unreal. What are the chances? We're finally to the top of Mount Townsend, which sits at 2,209 meters. Tough getting up here, but honestly probably not as bad as the peak before. That one sucked. About to now take on the big drop over here. This is a bit that I've been talking about the entire way, where the elevation drops off and then shoots back up. I think that one's gonna hurt. Right, let's get this done. Coming off that boulder field was pretty sketchy. They've all been sitting there for probably thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And I don't want to be the guy that dislodges one that ends up being the keystone one for all of them, makes them all collapse. There's definitely a couple of loose ones there, and it was just a matter of stepping on each one and then trying to figure out whether or not it was going to hold. That's where we're going to the top of. Unfortunately, I've been proven wrong again. This elevation that I'm about to go up looks like it's about 100 meters straight up. It's actually the next peak over that has that huge drop. Let's see how we go. They were all just sitting at the top of this peak. Alright, we're at the top of Abbott Peak, 2,145 meters above sea level. We just came from over there. That was tough. And now we're about to go over that way. So after worrying about this peak for a considerable amount of the hike, just because of the elevation gain and loss, it actually looks like it's pretty gradual. So it might be one of the easier ones to take on. So the top of this peak is called Mount Dufar, which I believe is French for close mountain. Hopefully we'll get there real soon, as the name suggests. It's definitely been tougher peaks on this trip, but this one definitely made me earn it. Mount Defar sits at 2,159 meters. One of the highest ones that we've done a 2,200 one, but it's definitely up there. All of them are sitting sort of between that 21, 2,200, except for Kosciusko, which is above 2,200. So that's going to be the next bit. We're going to have to hike down here and go and get my pack, which is hopefully still sitting there. Sun's starting to drop a bit. I'm probably about another 20 minutes away from getting to my pack. I'm hoping that I can get to the top of Kosciusko before it gets dark. My plan will be get my pack, and then I'm going to have to haul to get to the top of Kosciusko. Then I'm going to cook up dinner from there. Fingers crossed, get to see a good sunset, load up on some water, and then from there it will be probably under nightlight, hitting the last, I think it's 3 peaks. We'll see how we go. So I'm now on the other side of that valley, so I'm going to have to cross across that creek line. So it'll be a matter of punching down, trying to find somewhere suitable to cross. I don't know if you can see that there's a red speck up there. That's a tent set up. My bag should just be positioned a little bit higher on the top right side there. First snake of the trip. Not exactly sure what that one is, but we'll leave him alone. It's a good opportunity to fill up at the creek before heading back up the mountains, and then hopefully knocking over Kosciusko. Now let's see if we can get across here without axing ourselves. Made it across, which was awesome. Been dying to have a fish in here. Bought all my rods and everything like that, but I figured the purpose of this trip was to come out and try and hit all the highest peaks. So if I get them all done early enough by tomorrow and get a decent enough sleep, then I can come down, maybe hit it for about an hour or so, somewhere just near the roadway, have a bit of a fish, and then go from there. Moment of truth, is my bag still there? I think I can just see it peeking out the rock. Next question is, does it have everything important still in it? It's still there. Well, all my worldly possessions are still there. It's a bit of a calculated risk leaving it there. I thought from the high point, so most of the tourists doing the Kosciusko walk, which was a shorter, I think 15k walk, they're not going to see it as they pass by, and anyone going down towards the river was going to have their own kit with them, and hopefully my view is they're the type of people, if you're putting that effort into going to a campsite, you're probably not going to be someone who goes rifling through someone's bag. Judging by where the sun's sitting in the sky, I dare say I've probably got another hour and a half to 2 hours before sunset. So I'm going to push, try to get to the top of Kosciusko, hopefully have some dinner up there and call the family, which would be pretty cool. And then I'll have 3 more to go to get everything done in the one day. Once I get down to the bottom of the last one, it'll be set up camp, wait it out for the night, and then stomp out in the morning. Just having a quick 5-minute break out of the sun before going up there. Got a bit of a trek to go to get to the top, but fingers crossed, make it by sunset. The light's really starting to fade now. I'm just on the back end of what I think is going to be Kosciusko. I'm completely cast in shadow here, so I'm hoping when I break out, start pushing up the ridge line, should still have a little bit of light. Going to be real touch and go though. Another cool formation just up here. Looks like I've got about 100 meters of elevation left to go. Hurting because I've been trying to push to make this by sunset. I've only been eating snacks. Probably could do with something more substantial. The plan is get to the top, going to crack out my chair and have a proper feed. Sun's still up, which is promising. Almost there. It's crazy how good that landscape is. Having a look at it, every time I get a video of it, it's the same landscape. It just looks different under different light. So cool. Just watching that blue mist roll through earlier in the day. There's just clouds through it all. You can finally see the top. Such a relief. Get there, I'm going to pull out my chair, have some dinner before I even consider taking on these last 3 peaks. So I had to change of plans, got to the top, called the family and get the phone call from the top of Australia. And then as I was speaking to them on the phone, wind just started ripping through, brought all this cloud through, which actually completely blocked the sunset. So I'm going to push down lower. I'm going to try and get to the base of what will potentially be peak number 13, set up there, have some dinner, and then once I'm good to go, continue to the top. So if I was going to call it quits, I could take Charlotte's Pass, walk back down that way. It would be 11.8k walk, but I want to hit those last 3 high points so I can get the 15, which means I'm in for another 20 kilometers or so. Found a nice little stream. I'm going to try and fill up all my water bottles and my camelback before it gets too dark, so then I don't have to go searching for anything tonight. The water bottle will be for electrolytes, and then the last filled little pouch will be for cooking, and then any leftover will be just to top up the water that I have. Saves me having to do it in the middle of the night. Definitely starting to get dark now, starting to get cold. So I'm going to punch down, find somewhere where I can eat, which I'm hoping there's a little hut just over here. I'm hoping that I might be able to eat in that. If I can, I'm going to throw on some warm clothes and then quickly smash out dinner and then knock over the rest. Right, let's get moving. Don't know how well you can see it, but just over here there's just a couple of people walking with headlamps on. They're probably going to catch up to me soon the way I'm going. Getting late now, hopefully smash this dinner out pretty quick. Absolutely starving. So getting here this morning, I actually woke up at 1:30 in the morning to drive all the way to be here by 7:30. Quickly smashed down breakfast, which was 4 hash browns and an overnight oats, and then quickly started doing the hike. So I'm sitting at about 12 hours on the move now. I haven't stopped to eat any like real food. I've just had snack bars and lollies pretty much. Surprisingly, it's been enough to get me through to here, but I don't think I'm going to get through those last few steps without having something solid in my stomach. Back on the move. Let's see if we can knock these last 3 over. Doing a boulder scramble in the dark, definitely sketchy. Up the top of Etheridge Ridge, you're just going to have to take my word for it. We're up high. So Etheridge Ridge sits at 2,190 meters. This is where there's a potential for a bad prang. climbing down the rock boulders, so I've got to be real careful going on these bits. There's actually something a little bit eerie about walking this time of night. Very misty, very low light, not a lot of noise. So when you hear something, definitely sparks your attention. Just a little bit creepy. So just ticked past the 42 kilometre mark on all trails. So we're past marathon territory, we're now into ultra. So we've reached the junction for the last two high points, being Ram's Head and Ram's Head North. For some reason, the trail that I've got sends me out to Ram's Head South. Just done a quick bit of research. That's definitely not part of the top 15. It's about 100 meters lower than the lowest one that I've done already today. So I'm gonna skip that. I'll punch out to these two ones, and then I'll punch back to where I leave my bag, and then it will be homeward bound. Appreciate that you're probably not going to be able to see it until I get a little bit closer, but that is one intimidating climb to get to the top of Ram's Head North. Probably as high as I'm willing to get climbing this boulder field in the middle of the night, but that's the top of Ram's Head North. So Ram's Head North, 2,177 meters. One more to go. Let's be safe. Knock it over. Going down that boulder field in the dark, not something that I want to repeat again. So I think I'm going to hit Ram's Head, and then I'm going to try and push across to the track that would have met up with Ram's Head South, and then trek back. It looks like it's an established trail, so it should be a bit safer and a bit easier. Just far too risky this time of night. Yabby crew. Just got to the top of Ram's Head, 2,190 meters. Super stoked to have knocked over all 15 high points, or the highest points in Australia, but feeling wrecked. I'm going to be more stoked to go get a tent, get back on a normal trail, set my bed up and go to sleep. Let's get out of here. Alright, so just got back to my bag drop point. Done all 15 high points now. I'm just keen to get to bed. I want to try and get as close to my car as possible, so tomorrow I don't have to hike out massively and do another 10k hike. So I'm going to try and knock over as much as I can now. Looks like it's all downhill from here, so fingers crossed, nice and easy. I just know the second I take my boots off, my feet are going to start tearing apart. I won't be able to get them on and do any legitimate hiking tomorrow. I went into this thinking that hiking Australia's 15 highest peaks in 24 hours would be just a physical challenge, but it pushed me harder than I've been pushed in a long time. There were moments when I thought about stopping or cutting it short. That's when it stopped being a physical challenge and became a mental battle. But I always knew that I had one more step in me. In the end, I absolutely loved this adventure. The challenge, the views, all of it. It's honestly one of my favourite trips I've ever done. Thank you for coming along. I hope you have enjoyed this journey as much as I have.